everybody, and welcome to Season 3, Episode 28 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 22 on our list, which is the match between Shane Douglas and Cactus Jack from the Cyberslam 1996 event held on February the 17th of 1996. This is a match that I feel is a little bit of a hidden gem. Cyberslam 96 is part of the, what I consider that golden age of ECW there, where they have a run of shows that are just untouchable with tons of quality top to bottom, and this match is no different. Storyline that we have here is really, really fun. So I talked about this a little bit previously with Shane Douglas and Just Incredible's video the other day, where Shane Douglas, being the kind of anti-WWF, anti-WCW guy when he creates the ECW World Heavyweight title, in late 95, he left ECW to go to the WWF, where he was Dean Douglas, wouldn't be successful. There's talk about, him not getting along with the Clique members and them kind of, holding him down and whatnot. But Shane, would go on basically this little excursion to the WWF and then come back to ECW. When he came back to ECW, the news was out there that Cactus Jack had signed with the WWF, where he would eventually go on to play Mankind. Shane Douglas and Cactus Jack have an upbringing together, both being trained by Dominic DeNucci, and coming up through the independents together, shortly after their training. So Shane Douglas, coming back to ECW, finds out this news, and, Cactus, being a friend of him, basically, tries to convince Cactus Jack that he doesn't want to go to the WWF, that it's, it's ECW where he should stay. Cactus Jack at the time was doing, his anti-hardcore stuff, with several memorable promos. He'd linked up with Raven, talked a little bit about that previously in the November to Remember 1995 main event video. So Cactus, was very much anti-ECW, anti-hardcore. So the gimmick here with this match is that, Douglas, to try to save his friend from going to the WWF, decides that he's going to have to beat the hardcore out of Cactus Jack to try to convince him that this is where he belongs in ECW. Something that I really like about this match, and I just kind of find it a little humorous, is, Shane Douglas, for years and years, especially in ECW, had talked about his disdain for Ric Flair, referred to him as Dick Flair and all of this stuff. But the opening of this match is straight out of, 1980s NWA Ric Flair, where Cactus Jack is, wearing a suit, and he's got his hair in a nice ponytail, and he's, the corporate guy that's, going to the WWF, and that would be something that, he would reuse later on, as Dude Love when he, was kind of on the side of Vince McMahon. And Shane proceeds to beat him up while stripping the suit off of Cactus Jack. So again, just very, for somebody that hates Ric Flair to kind of use that, what I'm going to consider that classic Ric Flair trope, I found a little bit funny. So our referee for this match is Brian Hildebrand. So Brian Hildebrand, unfortunately passed away, many, many years ago, but he was somebody linked to both of these guys, same thing, on the come up with them both. So what initially just kind of seems like a cool little thing of, oh, it's Douglas versus Cactus, we've got Brian Hildebrand as the referee, would turn out to play a pivotal part in this match, which we will get to later on. This match is just incredibly heated, and it feels like a fight, and it's stiff, and it's hate-filled, and it's got a great pace to it, and I think it really slides under the radar for great, great ECW arena brawls in that peak period. The face and heel alignments are really muddied here because, Cactus is a heel, and Douglas is the face, but, Douglas uses underhanded tactics, and it kind of all plays into the finish, so it really blurs those lines, but it works for me for what it tries to accomplish. So once Douglas strips the suit off of Cactus, you see that he's still wearing the Forgive Me Uncle Eric shirt that he wore at November to Remember 95 with Eric Bischoff's, face kind of airbrushed onto the shirt. Douglas proceeds to take the fight to him, And just organic is a word that I'll use to describe this match. A lot of the brawling, just like I said, it has that sense of realism of these guys doing whatever it takes to kind of get the advantage over the other. So Cactus grabs like a crutch from a disabled fan in the crowd and uses that to get the advantage over Shane and hits him with that. Shane ends up crotching him with that crutch and hits a big dive off the top, which is not something that Shane would do a lot. You'd hit a dive, to the floor, and proceeds to one-up that, and just really out of left field, if you watch a lot of Shane Douglas, he hits this brutal suplex to Cactus, like over the guardrail, and Cactus's back just bends right over the rail. But it sends Cactus into the crowd, and Shane Douglas hits a dive off the top rope, like 3-4 rows deep into the crowd, which was nuts. That's something that you're going to see out of, a Rob Van Dam or a Sabu or, or a Rey Mysterio at the time match, not something you would expect for Douglas. It was really cool and really added to the match. We get both guys attacking each other's legs. Douglas hits like a Vader bomb with a chair over it. Cactus, smashes Douglas's knee over the guardrail. So again, just doing whatever they can. There's a lot of like clawing and raking and really stiff forearms and elbows and punches. Cactus throws Douglas to the floor and he lands on a ringside table. Then the table just kind of like tips over and Douglas hits the floor, and Cactus proceeds to just launch his body at the table, which is on top of Douglas. And again, it just feels like these guys are in this fight. And that's the point, where Joey Styles on commentary really starts to talk about, like, this is it. This is, the Cactus Jack of old. Douglas has done it. He's beat the hardcore out of him. We get, from there, Foley hits like a Raven-style drop toe hold into a chair. He hits, I want to call it out, Cactus Jack does that pile driver where he grabs the tights of his opponent, right? That kind of like stuffed pile driver. I think Sami Callihan does it now in Impact. But he hits this probably the best I've ever seen it. He just spikes Douglas on his head. It gives him like a huge wedgie with the tights. Like the whole thing is just brutal and it looks fantastic. As Cactus is bringing the fight though in the corner, this is where we again shift from just a really fun heated brawl into the ECW storyline driven overbooked kind of spectacle that a lot of these matches would eventually get themselves into. So as Cactus is wailing away on Douglas in the corner, Brian Hildebrand kind of backs Cactus out of the corner, and while he does that, behind his back he slips a pair of handcuffs to Douglas, who proceeds to just, knock Foley silly with it. And then we get the sequence that, Foley would use again at the Royal Rumble 99 in his I Quit match with The Rock, which would in turn kind of sort of inspire the Beyond the Mat movie. But this is where it got its origin. So Shane Douglas proceeds to handcuff Jack's hands behind his back. And proceeds to just waste away at him with vicious chair shots to the head. Not as brutal as the ones that The Rock did, but still, a little unsettling. And, Brian Hildebrandt's got the microphone and he's asking, Cactus Jack, do you quit? Do you quit? Do you give up? And again, Cactus Jack, kind of just goes out on his sword. Says no. And just so good. Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, he's so good at what he does, and especially in this era. So rather than quit, he starts screaming for Mikey Whipwreck. So I mentioned this really briefly in the Mikey Whipwreck and Sandman video from early on in our countdown, that Mikey and Cactus Jack were friends. Cactus Jack kind of like carried Mikey Whipwreck through a tag team title run in '94. In '95, Mikey scored the upset and won the ECW World Heavyweight title. Cactus Jack was the first one out there to help celebrate with him, but then the locker room kind of like shooed him out of the ring, and Mikey didn't really stand up for his friend at that point. Mikey would lose the heavyweight title back to the Sandman, but in another upset, Cactus Jack would help Mikey defeat Too Cold Scorpio to become both the ECW television champion as well as one half of the ECW World Tag Team Champions. Scorpio was champion with the Sandman at that point. And Cactus Jack would kind of appoint himself as the other half of the tag team champions with Mikey, reforming their 1994 tag team. we would eventually, at the Big Apple Blizzard Bash at the start of '96, they would lose the titles to the Eliminators, and Cactus would beat down Mikey, you know, for losing the tag team titles on him, for not embracing his friendship and everything like that. And that would eventually lead to them squaring off in what would be Mick's final ECW match. So instead of quitting, Cactus is just screaming for Mikey to come out, and you know, Mikey doesn't come out to save him. Shane Douglas slaps a figure 4 on Cactus. Same thing, we've got, you know, the microphone. Do you give up, Cactus? He's got his hands, you know, handcuffed behind his back. Mikey Whipwreck finally comes out with the chair, and you think he's going to save Cactus, but he proceeds to just hit a disgusting, unprotected chair shot to Cactus Jack's head, which lays him out and allows Brian Hildebrand to count the 3, with Cactus getting pinned in the figure 4. So that, like I said, would lead to Cactus Jack and Mikey at the Big Ass Extreme Bash to send Cactus Jack off to the WWF as Mankind. So I love this match. A great performance from Cactus Jack and everything he does. A great performance from Shane, where he's busting out, you know, dives into the crowd and all sorts of stuff you wouldn't expect from him. Heated realism, a great little turn. It almost kind of felt like a bit of a little double turn. Shane had come back as a face, would very quickly turn back to a heel in '96, and this kind of felt like the start of it. And just, you know, that, I've said it, you know, a couple of times now, but that peak, you know, ECW golden age where everything just feels so much better because of the environment it's in and everything surrounding it. Cyberslam '96 is a great show. I highly recommend checking out lots from it. It won't be the last time that we talk about it, so there's a little spoiler there. But you can find it on the WWE Network. It could be available on Peacock, I don't know. You can find it online if you look hard enough, and I do believe this match did get on one of the WWE produced ECW DVDs and Blu-rays. I think one of the unreleased collections they did. It is on one of there, and it's well worth checking out. You can check me out by subscribing to the channel here on YouTube so that you never miss a video. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and you can please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.